right, Sidher on your left. Sidher, again, kind of your defending champion here. Last time we were here, he won the Legacy Open in the finals, defeating William Jensen in a Rug Delver versus Sneak and Show matchup, where we saw in Game 3 some real fireworks as Jensen tried to resolve a turn 1 Blood Moon, and after a bunch of counter spells, went crazy. It was the Blood Moon that was countered. Jensen basically without any cards. That was his whole entire plan, and Sidher walking away the victor. And he's looking to win another one of these things.
Yeah, quite an impressive run for Ricky here.
It's kind of a back-to-back when you think about it. Now, that's not going to break the Jerry Thompson 2 wins in a weekend, but
no,
it's like kind of close.
The statute of limitation runs out after the weekend. You can't carry it over to the next event held in the area.
I'll have to check the fine print on that.
Ricky flashes 2 copies of Supreme Verdict in his opening hand and mulligans.
Should be an easy keep there.
Yeah. So powerful. Kills literally every creature.
Yeah, and they can't counter it.
No, it cannot be countered.
You can do nothing.
And Jason has counter spells in this deck.
Yep.
So what are we even talking about here?
I can't believe he threw that away. Doesn't make any sense.
How else is he supposed to kill Aetherling?
I agree. These two players, familiar with each other, they were actually sitting next to each other while we were waiting to get started this morning. So these two, Sam Pardee, Vidianto Ajaya, all basically friends from the California area.
Quite a weekend thus far for control decks.
Just crushing it.
Just crushing it. And especially pronounced on the heels of Seattle, where it was a really rough showing for that style of deck.
Some people wondering if the tie that I'm wearing at home is dedicated to the New York Knickerbockers. I'm a Syracuse fan.
Okay. Though the blue doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, but the orange does. The Cuse is out of the tournament now, by the way.
Yeah. Anywho.
I'm just answering questions on Twitter, man. All right? You got to fill some time. Sidher will draw a card. Who's going to be the first one to miss a land drop? That's the big question, obviously. So far, not Ricky, as he plays a Hallowed Fountain.
Yeah, this is a matchup where the pure Esper build, I believe, is pretty heavy favorite as full access to 12 temples versus 10 on Ricky's side.
We found the offender. Ricky Sidher has missed his land drop. You will pay the ultimate price, Ricky, for doing that.
Yeah, I have some terrible news.
Ricky's 1 loss this weekend, by the way. I asked what happened. He said, oh, I didn't play my 3rd land either game on time, and I lost. It's like, well, that's the only way this deck really ever loses. And I asked him, how many lands do you have? I know you're a huge advocate for 27. He has 27.
Yeah, I mean, you can run this deck out of the gym sometimes. That's the other way you can beat it, by just bum rushing it. But if it's just making its land drops and doing its thing, I think it's really hard to beat.
There's a rev for 1. And Sidher even said, I'm considering cutting a divination for a 28th land. I'm like, that might be a touch much. But
I buy it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of playing a ton of lands in this deck.
Sidher draws a card. And there is Azorius Guildgate. Passes the turn back over to Janasiewicz. And obviously in the opening turns of the game, we're just going to see players just play a bunch of lands, make sure they don't miss them. Sidher doing okay now, even though he missed some to start.
And Jason already with an Aetherling in hand, so he might be trying to set this up.
Going to try to resolve a divination. I would be surprised if he fights over the card draw. He will not. Sidher draws 2 cards, going to play a Plains, pass the turn back. So both players with 6 lands in play. Janasiewicz going to try to resolve a Revelation for 3.
Yeah, he's at risk of missing a land drop right now, so he has to do, even though this is a relatively small rev, he just needs to make sure he keeps hitting land drops.
Janasiewicz' hand is actually pretty bad right now. He's got like a Verdict, a couple Detention Spheres, like cards that really don't play a huge role. Now a Syncopate's going to take care of this.
I mean, if Janasiewicz draws a land here, he has Aetherling plus blue mana.
Yeah. That's a land. It's just not an untapped one.
Wow.
Temple of Deceit.
This game could have gotten really bad for Ricky real fast.
Taking a look at a Syncopate on top, looks like he's going to keep it there.
I'm not saying it's a mistake to fight over the rev there because, you know, the likelihood that Jason has untapped land plus Aetherling, one of in the deck, is pretty low. Yeah. But the shields were down there. Jason couldn't capitalize.
And Janasiewicz really giving some thought to this Syncopate if he wants to keep it on the top or the bottom. Because Syncopate obviously does such a great job at countering Revelations. That's its primary role in this matchup.
But the priority right now is Jason really just needs to keep hitting land drops. If he misses his land drops, it could be, doesn't really matter what spells he's drawing.
Reverting the draw here for Sidher. This is a Jace. Will we fight? It's like, it's kind of strange to dissolve a Jace, but at the same time, Jace is such a powerful card that you almost want to counter it every time.
Jason has no means of threatening it currently.
He's got this D-sphere in the hand that can take care of it, but, I mean, the job will get done. Also, I think he has a Mutavault in play.
He does have a Mutavault, yes.
So we're ticking down. Get your cards. Here's a Sphere, there's a Verdict, there's an Elixir. Pretty easy split. Elixir on its own. Other two cards don't really matter very much in this matchup. Elixir will go to the grip here for Sidher. Two Azorius cards at the bottom of the deck. Mutavault gets to threaten that Jace. It doesn't mean Sidher doesn't have a card like Azorius Charm, Last Breath, what have you. As Janasiewicz draws a Jace of his own.
And that's another spot where if Jason had drawn an untapped land, he could play Aetherling with 2 mana up, pay first, so he could pay for 1, and still have blue mana left over. So, unbeknownst to Ricky, he's actually dodged some bullets these last couple draw steps from Jason.
Jason can organize that mana. He's going to cast Jace of his own. Sidher, I think, is going to give that a thumbs up. And he's going to tick down, most likely. Yep. Howled Fountain, Island, Plains. Oddly enough, that's what you want to see.
Yep. No, it's a weird dynamic of this matchup. We're used to Sphinx's Revelation being by far the most important thing when Esper plays against most decks. In the mirror match, there's this weird thing going on where there's so many dead cards that, and it's also hard to be proactive because of the counter spells, that Revelations end up ending in one person just discarding a bunch of cards pretty often. What matters is the land drops and the cards with text boxes that matter, like Aetherling, more so than necessarily drawing 5, 6, or 7 cards. It's not intuitive because you would imagine in Control Mirror Match, the thing that matters the most is just drawing more cards. But it isn't necessarily about that all the time. Revelations is still good, but there's other things at play.
Janasiewicz just plays a land, passes the turn back. Sidher will untap. He's got 6 lands in play. He's going to cast Jason. Divination, Temple, Temple. Deceit and Silence. Do you split lands versus Divination? I think Sidher has to take the lands here pretty easily.
Yeah, it seems too rough to give him a Divination and a land.
Yeah.
But certainly giving him 2 lands is quite good for Ricky as well.
Gonna use a D-Sphere. Get that Jace out of here. Then D-Sphere doesn't have a ton of targets in this matchup. Typically going to take down an Elspeth or the 3 tokens that it makes right away. Can take care of a Jace after an activation. Again, it's nothing exciting, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, it is part of the outs, and it makes Elspeth a little bit less impactful overall in the matchup.
See, Janasiewicz really considering dissolving this. I think if you're Ricky, you got to be thrilled about this exchange.
I think that he's just trying to induce Ricky to fight back to try to get a window for this 8th
Yeah,
lane.
okay.
If the dissolve resolves, I think Jason's is pretty happy, he gets to use Jace again, and if Ricky actually decides to fight over it, that could open up a window for Aetherling.
Sidher with the Temple. Deciding where he wants to put it. Bottom is where it's going to go. Discard Supreme Verdict, pass it over to Janasiewicz. Janasiewicz going to untap those lands. He does have a slight land advantage right now. And I think it'll be time to draw a card here in just a moment. And it is. It's an island. Land's never a sight for sore eyes in this matchup. See how he wants to use Jace now. He's going to cash it in.
Yeah, this is the way that most people that I see who are skilled in the matchup play with Jace. They're not trying to get too tricky with it. Use it once. If it gets attention sphered, okay. And if not, try to use it a second time.
Yeah. Just get your cards. I just look at it as like a divination on suspend, really.
Yeah.
You see Verdict and Godless Shrine split across Temple of Enlightenment. Temple's going to go to the grip as Scrying is more important than just a random Godless Shrine and Supreme Verdict that'll have no role in this matchup. Temple going to come into play. Take a look at the top card. It's going to go to the bottom for Janasiewicz. Bunch of garbage in his hand right now outside of that Aetherling.
Yep, not a lot to do, just removal spells, basically.
I'm sure he'd love to pull the trigger on it, sensing a little bit of weakness, but if he walks face first into Dissolve, it's a nightmare. Aha! We're going to go Mutavaulting.
And this is again trying to trap him into using something like Last Breath or Azorius Charm.
Kind of like it. All right, get you for 2. And again, life totals aren't going to play a huge role in this matchup, so I'm sure Sidher would probably want to kill that thing because it does play the role of Stone Rain, but I think he's just going to take 2 and move on.
He may be willing to kill it at the end of Jason's turn, but I don't think he's going to do anything inside of combat.
Not going to kill it all. I'm going to tap all those lands. Sidher going to draw a card. It's a Plains.
both players keenly aware of. There's a lot of jockeying, and things like Jace and Elspeth matter kind of at different times, and Mutavault count matters. But if one person gets Aetherling into play with mana up, it's over.
Yeah.
The game ends. So that fact is causing both players to be very cautious.
4 mana, Jace in your face. You see, Janasiewicz going to look at his hand. He's got some Spheres, got some Verdict, got some Last Breath, got his All-Star Aetherling, but nothing to take care of Jace. Jace is going to start on 4, and we'll see if Sidher wants to go up or down with it. Obviously, up is a little bit appealing right now because there's a Mutavault that can tax it, but it might just be more important that he just gets cards from it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what he's going to do.
If he pluses it and then Jason just uses a Detention Sphere that's not very good otherwise, it's a bit of a disaster for Ricky.
Got some lands, Mutavault and Hollow Fountain and a Supreme Verdict. Mutavault going to go to the grip, Verdict and Hollow Fountain going to go to the bottom. Sidher going to pass. Janasiewicz going to untap. He's going to take a draw. It's a copy of Dissolve. Highly relevant spell in this matchup. Going to tap a Plains, activate Mutavault. Let's get after Jace, he says. Bye-bye, Jace. Island going to play for Janasiewicz.
And now with a Dissolve in hand, there's a little less of a pressing need to try to just go for Aetherling as he has a second card that matters.
Yeah. Sidher. Gonna play a Temple of Silence. Looks like he's gonna keep that card on top. I think he's still contemplating, however, what he wants to do with it. Relevant cards in his hand right now. He does have a Dissolve and a Syncopate. Now that's the one we were looking for.
Here we go.
Yeah, this is the one that breaks serve as Janasiewicz immediately casts a Thoughtseize.
This is Jason's edge.
Yep, and this is gonna buy out a Dissolve. So now we might see a bit of a counter war here.
I mean, there's some incentive to just get the stuff, cast the stuff that's in your hand, because you just end up discarding it at various points if you don't.
Janasiewicz does have a Dissolve of his own, so now he's considering casting that. What are the ramifications of it? And he is going to cast a Dissolve, it looks like, on the Dissolve.
Just trying to push Aetherling with mana up.
Yep. The scry time. So now this is going to resolve. You see Sidher's hand now. D-Sphere, a couple of lands, Elixir of Immortality, and a Syncopate. I do not believe Janasiewicz has played a land yet this turn.
Yeah.
And as a result, he does have an island in his hand, so he can play an island, play the Aetherling, have one island up to be able to blink it in the case of a removal spell, which he would be covered against. It would force Sidher to draw an instant speed removal spell to get the job done. Taking a look at his deck, again, because he's just dipping into black in the sideboard, there is no card that would get it done.
Yeah.
And because both players have access to deck lists, as long as Jason is cognizant of that, he can go for it.
Yeah, essentially what Ricky needs to do is cast Attention Sphere, target Aetherling, force Jason to use a mana, and then in response to that mana, use an instant removal spell. Ricky has no such thing, and now the coast is clear for Jason to resolve this Aetherling.
There is the end boss.
We did all this jockeying, and all this bouncing back and forth and fighting over our cards and land drops, and now it all might not matter very much.
Yeah, Sidher drew a Revelation this turn, which is actually a pretty big draw for him. He's going to play a Mutavault. Now, this is where things get a little interesting, because oftentimes in this matchup you think that, okay, you resolve Aetherling, it's basically over. Here's a Revelation for 7. But part of the reason Andrew Cuneo built this deck the way that he did is because what you can do with Elixir of Immortality is you can just consistently loop the Revelations, which is going to essentially fog Aetherling in the 8-point swings. You're going to gain a bunch of life. You're going to find your Elixir, gain 5 more life, put the Revelations back in your deck. You've got so many lands, you can draw so many cards, gain so much life, and keep looping that Aetherling is essentially getting fogged or dealing no damage.
It's going to be, it is a path that's going to be tough. And Jason is also going to be able to threaten life total with Mutavault.
Yeah. I mean, it is obviously no lock for that to happen, but that's a plan. And part of the reason Elixir's in the deck to just really grind someone all the way down so that if Resolve Aetherling does happen, it's not game over. And I have seen Cuneo win games that way.
Yeah.
Janasiewicz going to draw a card. He draws a Revelation of his own.
But his Revelation is way worse right now than the one that Ricky just drew, because Jason's kind of committed to using all of his mana into Aetherling at this point.
So now he has to balance Aetherling. How much mana do I use? How much blue do I leave up? How much do I attack for? Is it worth blinking at any point? All of that good stuff. Aethling management is a very difficult thing to do. I'm sure he's got some interest in resolving a revelation because that sinks the revelation, and every blue-white control player wants to resolve the card, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he can try a smaller rev, hit for some damage, and leave mana up, but I don't think he's going to just dump all his mana into this revelation.
Decisions for Janasiewicz, who is certainly ahead at this point. He's just trying to figure out how to stay ahead and get the job done.
Yeah, Ricky can get to looping Sphinx's Revelation plus Elixir, but it's a tough thing to do, and Jason also might be able to break that up at various points by drawing counter spells.
Mm-hmm. Just an attack here for 4. Pretty honest Aethling attack. Sidher going to go down to 22. Yeah, this is the baby rev that you mentioned. It's going to be for 5. Tough to call a Revelation for 5 a baby rev, but here we are.
It is at this stage of the game.
Yeah. 5 cards come in. Elspeth, Temple, Rev, Mutavault, Dissolve.
Dissolve's a really important draw.
Yeah. Janasiewicz going to go discarding here a little bit. You see him moving Elspeth, D-Spheres, Last Breath, all that good stuff. A lot of cards that just don't really matter in this matchup. There's a Verdict. He's going to discard Temple and Enlightenment. He's already played a land past the turn back. Sidher untaps. He draws, finds an island.
Another potential path to victory is Ricky finding his own copy of Aetherling and then using Azorius Charm, the lifelink mode, to race.
Yep. Divination. That's where Sidher's going to start. 2 cards coming. Going to put that in the bin. Probably time to resolve an Elixir. And it is.
Whoa.
Whoa.
This is really aggressive.
I did not see that coming.
He's going to tap out to fight over this Elixir.
Dissolve is going to counter the Dissolve, so now Elixir is going to resolve. The shields are down for it. Wow.
I mean, does Ricky have a Detention Sphere? I imagine he would have to... I mean, is there an untapped land off camera or something?
I don't think so.
Oh, I think the issue here is that if he Detention Spheres the Aetherling,
okay.
it opens up a window for the Elixir to get Detention Sphered, and then Ricky might get decked.
All right.
It's still very aggressive, but yeah, I think Ricky might actually not be able to afford to lose this Elixir.
So that was really interesting because Jason didn't even give that like second thought.
Oh yeah.
He's like, you're gonna do this. I'm gonna counter this. I know my shields down. I know my shields are down for Aetherling, but the fight is over Elixir from your deck. It's an untapped land.
That's crazy.
He is staring at a D-Sphere right now that can take care of Aetherling, and he is very hesitant to cast it.
Yeah, he might not be able to win the game if he loses this Elixir.
Yeah. Consider a normally very, very fast player. Yep, okay. He's going to take the opportunity to Detention Sphere this and pass the turn back, knowing that he's probably going to lose his Elixir of Immortality. I mean, you have to imagine he's going to. It's part of the reason Janasiewicz didn't discard any of those Detention Spheres.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is pretty cool. Jason definitely had a plan in mind.
Yeah. We're going to see if it works out. It's bold.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to shut the door on Ricky being able to actually win the game.
I mean, Ricky has an Aetherling in his deck. You know, he's not trying to get the job done with Mutavaults.
Sure.
And obviously he has Elspeth. Janasiewicz is definitely casting the old D-Sphere here. We know that. Yep, so now there goes Elixir. So Elixir's gone for good. I'm checking for Invoke Existences right now in deck lists.
There's one in Jason's.
Aha! I like it.
Yeah.
Sidher doesn't have any in his main deck.
So he actually doesn't necessarily mind the Detention Sphere on this Aetherling because it's not permanent.
Yeah.
And getting Detention Sphere Ricky's is an insane edge right now.
There's an island. Here's a bunch of mana. It's an Elspeth probably. Yeah. Elspeth not a huge deal in the mirror.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's nice sometimes, but, you know, Detention Sphere and Jace are usually pretty well equipped to handle whatever it's generating.
Verdict cleans up the tokens, too.
Yeah.
You know, I always think of Elspeth as just like kind of an annoyance or an inconvenience that is eventually dealt with. I mean, Janasiewicz is at 23. He can kind of just deal with it at his leisure as he's going to cast a Revelation here for only 3. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, to me, Elspeth is, I've got nothing to do with 6 mana. So
Yeah, pretty much.
Here's an Elspeth.
Yeah. Maybe you have air, and
Yeah.
you maybe have all lands. Who knows? Let's see. A cycle here with Zorius Charm. All right, so Ref for 3 is going to resolve. Again, not a huge amount, but again, when you're playing this decking game, which you might be playing here as well, you don't want to resolve some gigantic Revelations, as Janasiewicz just draws 3 lands off of that.
Yeah, he's going to have to discard to hand size anyway if he's Revelating for any more than that. So no real reason to try to do it for 12.
There's the Supreme Verdict. So you can do the old 1-2 punch here of D-Sphere the Elspeth, Verdict the tokens, or you can just have Mutavault, you know, take care of the tokens, they can never attack, stuff like that, whatever he wants to do. You see all these D-Spheres here. Janasiewicz looking in hand with a bunch of lands. Obviously, he has an Elspeth of his own. Going to play a Mutavault, number 2. Janasiewicz's deck list, how many Mutavaults over there, Patrick?
He has 2.
Okay.
And you have Ricky's.
Sidher has 2 as well.
Yep.
It looks like Janasiewicz might be trying to resolve an Elspeth of his own right now. Yeah, there's 6 mana. And so there's his Elspeth.
Yeah, I think he's sensing that Ricky just doesn't really have much in the way of counterspells.
Yeah.
This is a reasonable spot to resolve his Elspeth.
3 tokens on Janasiewicz's side. Sidher will draw a card. Let's see what he found. Gonna play Hallowed Fountain tapped. Looks like he might fire up some Mutavaults here. Potentially. Looks like he might just be going for a D-Sphere on Elspeth. Yep.
Yeah, that's another issue with Elspeth in the mirror is that Mutavault on defense also just kind of incidentally holds off all the tokens.
Yeah.
It's hard for it to be very productive.
Janasiewicz draws a card. Jace. That means more cards. As we are over 20 minutes in game 1. Actually pretty fast for an Esper.
Yeah, for sure.
Premier.
For as long as this game has gone, absolutely.
Jace taking down. 3 cards coming. Thoughtseize is going to go by itself, obviously. It's a card that allows Janasiewicz to break serve. The question is he going to cast it now? I would be a little surprised if he did. Yeah, 3 lands.
Yeah. Not a lot going on there. I probably would have held it for a point where he's actually trying to force something through or fight over something.
I think you hold that when you're trying to resolve the Revoke existence to get your Aetherling back.
Yeah, for example.
To push through, yeah. So Janasiewicz's hand, he's got the Last Breath, got a Supreme Verdict, can clear things up if he wants to. Has a couple of lands, make sure he hits those. Neither player with the Revelation in their hand. Not sure deck counts right now, obviously.
I'd imagine Ricky has to be behind. He's divinationed a couple times. He had a much larger Revelation.
Yeah.
Zero copies of Elixir in Jason's list.
Yep.
There's a lot of really weird dynamics to this matchup. It's land drops matter, and then card advantage matters, and then randomly how your deck is constructed matters.
And then card advantage stops mattering.
Yeah. The game sort of goes through 3 tiers in my mind, whereas land drops into card advantage into do you have an Aetherling in your deck or not? Do you have an Elixir in your deck or not? You know, et cetera, et cetera.
Is it Elspeth time? It is Elspeth time. All right, up to 5 we go.
And he's aware that Ricky is, you know, basically defenseless. He looked at that hand with Thoughtseize last turn. It was just 3 lands. So this Elspeth, this may be one of the rare games where Elspeth just is able to make some tokens and generate an emblem and win the game.
Jason's going to take up his Jace, obviously take up his Elspeth. You got 6 soldier tokens out there, Mutavaults for both players. Sidher with just a boring, I believe, Last Breath in his hand. He's going to untap his Watery Grave, draw a card. It's an island, I believe. Yeah, just really nothing doing. Just has to pass the turn back. So Janasiewicz gonna untap all those lands. Let's see what he finds. It's a Plains. Jace gonna take down 1, 2, 3. Rev, Last Breath, and Jace. Rev. Have to be careful how much you rev for.
Right, but he has the option of, at some point, firing off a mid-sized Revelation to find a counterspell in the event that Ricky does anything.
Yep.
I don't think he's really going to go out of his way to cast that Rev, but it is a nice insurance policy in case Ricky draws something good.
At this point, it might be a battle of just protecting the queen, which is Elspeth.
Right. Although Jason's getting to the point where he can actually just start sending in his mutavaults and tokens. Ricky's got a high life total and some mutavaults back on defense, but
Ricky draws a card. Temple. Top goes to the bottom. Janasiewicz not casting a rev. There's the revoke existence. You see him go right towards the D spheres.
Oh, what did you draw? Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
Let me just see the enchantments and artifacts that are in play, if you don't mind.
Jace and Elspeth are going to tick up. 3 more soldiers in play. We're 1 turn away from an Elspeth ultimate. Is it time to cast Revoke Existence?
Elspeth ultimate alongside Aetherling may be a first for me in the coverage.
Yeah, I don't think I've
the
seen
tandem.
that.
Because usually one just kills the person.
Yeah.
It's rare that you need both.
Play a land. Does Janasiewicz. Couple lands off screen, unfortunately, for you guys at home. But looks like he's going to cast the 1 main deck Revoke Existence, targeting the Detention Sphere. That's it. Ricky Sidher going to concede game number 1. Jason Janasiewicz with some creative play, letting his Aetherling get taken away via Detention Sphere because he has the Revoke Existence, does win game number 1. We're going to bring it back to the booth. Question time. I hope you're ready.
I am ready.
I hope you're ready. All right, get your Twitters ready. At SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium for your tweets. 12 months. He's got your question. We'll draw and announce the winner at the conclusion of our final round. 12 months for the winner. Accuracy, not speed. Patrick, fire away.
Each of these control decks we see in the final have exactly 1 main deck creature. It is the same creature. What is that creature?
If you know the name of that creature, hashtag the answer with SCG Premium. Make sure you're following at SCG Live, and then again, we'll announce the winner at the conclusion of this final round. Right before we do our winners interview in the sideboard with Andrew Schraub, but we're going to take a look at sideboards here. These post-board games typically go much faster.
Yes, they become a lot more proactive, a lot more threat-oriented.
Since you actually get to sideboard out some of your garbage and play with real cards. Sidher's sideboard, you see a Blood Baron of a Scope, a Notion Thief, Blind Obedience, Dispel, 4 Doom Blades, 1 Far and Away, 1 Fated Retribution, 2 Gainsay and Negate, and 2 copies of Revoke Existence. I like Negate. I like Gainsay, that's 3. Dispel is 4. Notion Thief is 5. Revoke Existence is probably 6 and 7. Don't think he needs anything else. Blood Baron is like, okay, you play this little game of chicken around someone who could have Supreme Verdicts boarded out and things of that nature. However, when you have access to the deck list, maybe you leave in a Supreme Verdict.
It just depends how many cards he really wants to cut here. I actually like Blood Baron as the Esper decks are often just kind of caught randomly without an answer to it, and you're just trying to be generally more proactive anyway. On Jason's side of the sideboard, you see a Pithy Needle, a Fiendslayer, Paladin, 2 Blind Obedience, 2 Dark Betrayal, 2 Gainsay, 2 Negate, 2 Ultimate Price, a Revoke Existence, 2 Thoughtseize. You're certainly going to see Thoughtseizes 3 and 4 come in, the additional copy of Revoke Existence, the 2 Negates, the 2 Gainsays, and I actually believe the Pithy Needle as well. Even though these players have a lot of overlapping tools, usually one player has something that you don't have. Needling it is valuable, and because Jason has Revoke Existences, 2 copies in the post-board games theoretically, you can actually revoke his own Needle to free up a Needle that's been set to Aetherling, let's say, for example. So I think you're going to see both players kind of go to the same thing, bring in additional counter spells, additional discard spells if they have it, and durable threats.
So an interesting thing here on the old Twitter sphere. Harry Corvasi starts the game Select Rider. He said, and I quote, "Slaughter Games is a bad Magic card, and anyone playing it thinking it's good enough is wrong. That is all."
I think that I can get behind 1 Slaughter Games in your sideboard if you're already playing a bunch of Thoughtseizes and Duresses.
Okay.
I think that if your game plan is to Slaughter Games them, you are in a lot of trouble. But I think a Singleton has pretty high upside, but I would want it being supplemented by other forms of disruption.
The Slaughter Games basically says remove all Sphinx's Revelations from the target opponent's deck.
And it can be better than that if you're playing alongside Duress and Thoughtseizes, because it could just be another uncounterable Thoughtseize. And if you know that the game is going in such a way that you have to just cut off their 1 out, whether it's removing their Supreme Verdict or removing their Sphinx's Revelation or whatever, you can also just name that in the dark. So, you know, like I said, not a big fan of the card as that's my only plan here, or that's what I'm trying to do. But I do like it alongside other forms of disruption.
Got it. Obviously, we're not going to see that here, but I know that because Revelation decks are getting pretty big and some players out there are trying the old Mono Black Devotion Splash Red now, some people are moving towards Slaughter Games.
Yeah, like I said, if you have 4 Duresses and 4 Thoughtseizes and you want another one of those effects, play a Slaughter Games. I think that's totally reasonable. But I do not like it as the game plan.
Jason Janasiewicz up game number 1 here. He is on your right. Ricky Sidher. That's his first loss in the elimination rounds. Was kind of coasting through here, defeating the green decks, but his Elixir of Immortality got taken from the via detention sphere. And now that looks to be the bigger problem here.
And Thoughtseize was a big part of that game, too.
Oftentimes is in this mirror.
Yeah, the mirror match, you know, Jason is, they're very similar decks, but Jason has more Scry lands, a main deck Thoughtseizes, and a main deck Revoke. And that all those small edges came up in that game.
Yeah. And you saw exactly, as soon as he drew Thoughtseize, he just immediately slammed it down, too.
Yeah.
Knowing that, yep, this is like basically my best card in the matchup. Again, you oftentimes think of blue-white. When we think of blue-white, we group them as revelation decks. Some are just playing different colors. But in this particular matchup, Thoughtseize is the card that really breaks serve.
Yeah, especially in the first game where players just have so few cards that actually matter. In the post-board games, you can dilute the power a little bit by just having more redundancy, more counter spells, what have you. In that game, you can see both players are often discarding a hand size because there's just a bunch of nonsense in their hand. So Thoughtseize is especially brutal in game 1 when Ricky may only have 10 or 12 spells in his deck that even matter.
Yeah. So Ricky Sidher will have the option to play first here, and we'll be underway shortly for you guys. Again, we will announce the winner of our 12-month premium giveaway at the conclusion of this match. We'll have our winners interview in the sideboard. Then we'll take a little break. Then we'll come back for Legacy. We've got people piling in that you obviously can't see. You can expect a 9, potentially 10-round tournament of Legacy here in LA.
Yeah, it's pretty rare for the room to be getting this crowded with still 20 minutes left in registration. I mean, it's hopping in here.
And then, of course, next weekend. I know you're flying to Charlotte early, but...
Yeah, 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, I get on a flight to Charlotte.
There you go.
Yep.
I think we'll be taking a cab. Oh, wait. Well, are you flying out LAX or San Diego?
LAX.
Okay. We could just share a cab in the morning.
All right, awesome.
I got a really early one back to Seattle.
No, actually, I have my car here. I'll drive you to the airport.
Wow, you would do that for me?
Yeah. We're buddies.
You would save me the fare?
Yeah, man, we're friends.
That is nice.
It's not like when you pick me up in Seattle and you drop me off at the train station. No, I'll take you to the airport.
Can we start the game? Can we start the game?
No, I'll drive you there. It's fine, because we're friends.
Can we get this game started?
That's what friends do for each other.
You're right. You're right.
Ricky looks like he's taking a mulligan here.
Failed to mention I picked you up from the airport.
Oh, no, I know.
45 minutes out of my way.
Dude, I'll take you to LAX tomorrow morning.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm going to Charlotte a little early to hang out, so I'm looking forward to it. I got some people in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm going to drive out there on Tuesday, Wednesday. Bobcats game with my buddy Matt. Thursday I'll do whatever, and then invitational time. I'm really looking forward to it. Gonna be a great week.
If you're in the area, you should be there.
Even if you're not in the area.
Yeah, make the trek.
Just drive or fly or whatever.
Both players taking a look at 7. Sidher going to keep, as will Janasiewicz. We're underway in game number 2 here, the finals of the Standard Open in Los Angeles. Temple of Deceit. Sidher going to keep the card on top. Temple of Enlightenment here for Janasiewicz. That card is going to the bottom.
Do you think there's any argument for choosing to draw in the mirror match or mirror-ish match?
I find it interesting. It depends on who you're talking to, honestly. Sure. I actually like drawing in this match. Like, it depends on the context of their sideboard. For example, if your opponent has a card like Nightveil Spectre, I would probably want to if I have Nightveil Spectre, I'd want to play first, so I want to deploy that. But if neither player has Nightveil Spectre, I would want to draw.
Yeah.
Consider miss a land? I can't imagine he's going to miss a land. Okay, there we go. There's a Hollow Fountain.
No, just bash him with a Mutavault, taking his opportunity.
Tough
there.
guy Mutavault. I like it. There's 9 from Janasiewicz. He's got Thoughtseize in his hand already. He has Negates as well, but he does not have a 4th land. And
nor does he have black mana.
Yeah.
I mean, this draw could go in the toilet pretty fast for Jason.
Whatever spell Sidher casts is going to get dissolved, but he does not cast spell. He just gets him with Mutavault.
He does not believe that Jason still has last breath in his deck after board.
Bold. Janasiewicz is going to draw an island. He needs to just run off some lands here. Scry lands are the best ones, obviously, because that can help him find more lands, but...
Yeah. I mean, his hand's a mess right now. And he might just get beaten to death by this Mutavault.
Azorius Charm. Is he going to dissolve that? I don't think so. All right. So a little cycle there. Sidher will draw a card. Sidher is making sure he hits his land drops, obviously. That's the key. There's a Plains. Mutavault coming in again. Working away at that life total. Janasiewicz is going to go down to 14.
I mean, this is a real plan. Jason probably has nothing instant speed to kill this anymore.
Yeah, and he probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
Last breath is miserable in the matchup. Janasiewicz draws another island.
Go on the old counter sliver plan. with his counter spells and his sliver. Mutavault.
Yes.
Among all of our
which
creature types.
is a sliver.
Yeah.
Sidher draws. He draws an Elspeth. There's a Watergrave untapped. So Sidher's going to go down to 18. Yeah. It's clocky again.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Janasiewicz down to 12. There is a rev for 2. That will resolve. Aetherling and Thoughtseize are the draws. Now, he's drawing a lot of his premium cards right now. This is a man who needs black mana and land. Draws a Gainsay.
Yeah, now we're just going to see a missed land drop and a bunch of discarding, and Ricky's got to feel very comfortable about the way this game is going right now.
Yeah, it's time to discard. And he's got 9 cards in his hand right now, I believe, so. Let's see if Sidher has something on the end step. Discard 1. And Janasiewicz is ready to discard. Just has to get the okay here from Sidher. Elspeth, obviously, a very easy discard in this situation.
Yeah, it's just hard. Even if Jason does rip a 6th land, him just running an Elspeth out there seems unlikely to correlate to winning the game.
Yeah,
so
I agree. And I think he's got 9 cards in his hand. I'm pretty sure he has to discard 2. This decision is what are the 2 cards he's going to discard. Because discarding Elspeth is easy. The question is, does he want to discard both Elspeths, especially when he's a player who does not have Elixir of Immortality like Sidher does.
yeah, I don't think we're even really worried about that stage of the game, though. I mean, that is a consideration, certainly, but right now, Jason just needs to be concerned with shoring up the short term of the game.
It's an Elspeth and a black card. Maybe a Thoughtseize?
Yep, I think it was a Thoughtseize. I mean, his life total is getting taxed right now.
Yeah.
He might not be, he already has 1 Thoughtseize in hand. Can he really afford to cast 2 in this game? He's unlikely to be able to answer that Mutavault in any direct way. He's going to have to do some sort of sideways work, like getting Aetherling into play.
Temple to Sea comes off the top. Important for a lot of reasons. 1, it's a land. 2, it lets him scry. 3, it's black mana for a Thoughtseize.
Yeah.
Top card looks like it's going to the bottom. Janasiewicz consulting his hand, and the deck is going to go on top of that card. So bottom's up.
Just getting beaten to death by a Mutavault. For all the post-board jockeying, it can just be like this sometimes.
Here's Azorius Guildgate. This. Look at Mutavault. Look at you. You've dealt 12 this game. Janasiewicz gained 2 from
Yep.
Revelation, but it's dealt 12.
It's Standard's best card for a reason.
That's true.
It's actually Standard's best card for numerous reasons.
Janasiewicz draws. He's going to fire off a Thoughtseize. It's time for a little movement. Dissolve. And perhaps a little counter war.
Yeah, and I think Jason's just trying to set up an Aetherling.
Yeah,
That's
what I
his
think too.
plan in this game.
Dissolve will take care of the job. You know, Janasiewicz does have a Dissolve of his own and a Gainsay and a Negate, I believe. A little surprised not to see a fight there.
He might just be jamming
Oh,
Aetherling.
oh,
Yeah,
Elspeth, okay.
Sorry.
That'll work. If it resolves, of course. Which it does. 3 soldiers coming. That jerk Mutavault. Slow on down now.
But this gives Ricky a big window to resolve something of his own.
Yes. Sidher does have an Elspeth of his own. He's going to play a Temple of Deceit. A little scry action. Leave it on top. See, Sidher has an Elixir. He has an Elspeth. His hand isn't as loaded as Janisiewicz's, but he's got the mana advantage.
Although, yeah, Janasiewicz is starting to close that gap a little bit.
Yeah.
The discrepancy in mana is not as pronounced as it was a few turns ago.
There's Elspeth for Mr. Sidher. See if he wants to slide an Elixir right now or leave a counterspell. He's just going to pass.
Yeah, this is not, right now it's not looking to be an Elixir game. And it's less likely to be the case in the sideboard games anyway, just because both decks are a little bit more proactive. They're better at actually killing the other player.
Decent for the draw here for Janasiewicz. So Elspeth ticking up. 6 counters on that. 3 more soldier tokens out there.
Obviously, either player using Detention Sphere in this spot, not very good, as they both have overlapping permanents. So this is just a pure arms race here.
Janasiewicz moves that entire massive mana. He's going for Aetherling. It is not going to resolve. Gainsay says stay away. Janasiewicz passes the turn back. Sidher gonna untap all those lands. Time to take a draw. It's a divination. 2 new cards coming. But 1 and 2.
Ricky is in a bit of trouble here as he's currently behind the Elspeth 8-ball.
Yep. 1 turn late to the party. Consider to draw a Revelation. And you see his hand right now, Revelation, Revoke Existence, and the Elixir of Immortality. But Rev isn't going to play a huge role right now. And if he wants to resolve Rev, he's got to do it now because you know they're going to board in more counterspells to actually counter Revs.
Yeah, I mean, Jason has 3 counterspells for Sphinx's Revelation in his hand right now, and Dissolve, Negate, and Gainsay.
In come the tokens. Pretty easy block. You see this exchange all the time when Elspeths go after each other. Sidher hasn't used his Elspeth just yet.
Yeah, I mean, he may be contemplating just using a detention, or looks like just going to Rev here now that there's a shields down moment.
For 3. Sidher will go up to 19. More importantly, he's going to draw 3 cards. Like a Zoria's Charm among them. And he takes up his Elspeth. 3 soldier tokens are going to come into play. Pass the turn back over to Janasiewicz, who will draw a card. It's a Jace. Keep those soldiers at bay.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty critical draw here, as before, you know, Jason has to protect his Elspeth, so trading tokens and what have you. This Jace allows him to just ignore Ricky's tokens for 1 turn, which may allow him to set up just an Elspeth emblem and a lethal attack.
The big question here is, does Janasiewicz actually want to cast Jace because he has so many counterspells in his hand?
Yeah,
he says no.
Yeah, he's gonna hold in hand and just lean on his counters.
So Sidher's going to untap those lands. He'll take a draw here.
Good morning, Magic.
Draws a Jace.
We just got a couple minutes left in registration for today's Legacy Open.
There's a Temple of Enlightenment. Scry time
Not yet signed
for
up
the 2nd seed.
and
Didn't put that
plan
card on the
to
bottom.
play, please come on up to the main event stage right now. Once again, we will only have registration open for another couple minutes.
So he's going to rearrange some mana here.
Signed up, please come up right now.
4 mana. Is he going to try to deploy Jace? He is. We might see a fight over this.
I mean, it's going to give Ricky a look at some other cards.
And you see Jason pull the negate forward. I think the question here for Jason, does he want to negate or gainsay? And he's going to go with negate.
Yeah, he wants to save his Gainsay for a potential fight over Aetherling.
Yeah. So Jace, Architect of Thought, to the graveyard with you. Sidher, again, looking at a mediocre hand. Now has Elixir. Gonna fire up a Mutavault. Probably gonna go after Elspeth here.
Yeah, he just needs to either whittle down Jason's board or keep Elspeth off of receiving an emblem next turn.
Yep. There's your blocks. Soldiers here, Mutavaults will bite the dust. Jason will be left with just 1 soldier. So Ricky has a bit of a soldier advantage right now. It's going to pass the turn back. Janasiewicz is going to untap and draw. He can make an Elspeth emblem if he'd like to. He draws a card. And now he's going to give this some thought. Something we haven't seen Jason do is really ponder something for an extended period of time. He's felt comfortable the entire way so far.
Yeah, his pace of play has been really fast. Now he's got to worry about Ricky threatening an Elspeth emblem of his own.
Yeah, I mean, they're both Elspeths are on 7. Here's a Temple of Enlightenment, and Jason has 2 copies of Detention Sphere in his hand. So the question I think Jason's asking himself is, how do I go about using this Detention Sphere? What do I have to do to get myself out of this situation? Because he's not in a great spot right now.
I mean, he does have the option, for example, of simply making an emblem and Detention Sphering the Elspeth and playing Jason plussing. That's a fairly obvious route, but you're playing into a lot of Ricky's cards on the way back if you do that.
Yeah.
These Detention Spheres are very awkward in this kind of fight, of course, because as they are symmetrical.
So, organizing some lands, figuring out his options. His Aetherling is countered. And it's not going to come back. So he's got to get the job done with Elspeth. Janasiewicz really giving this a lot of thought. Again, does have Jace, does have multiple copies of Attention Sphere. Trying to figure out the best way to use those cards. Do I leave up Counter Magic? Has a Dissolve and a Gainsay in his hand. Sidher's hand is pretty weak right now.
Yeah.
The Revoke Existence is probably the best card. Elation and Mortality not going to play a huge role. It's going to be Emblem time.
Yeah, I like this. Jason, I feel, is kind of priced into using his Attention Spheres here, and so having an Elspeth emblem gives him a lot of upside long term, as future Elspeth draws are quite powerful.
Yep. And there's a D-Sphere. And there goes Elspeth. Will he make the Jace play that you mentioned?
I mean, he's exposing himself to a lot of risk by tapping out here.
Yes, he is. But if Jace can stick, it would be huge. He's not going to cast it yet. Azorius Charm gets cycled.
Yeah, I like just holding off here for a little bit.
So he dissolved the cards that, among the cards that Sidher has drawn. He also has a Notion Thief. Interesting. Just a one-of in Sidher's sideboard.
Pretty high upside.
Yeah.
I also like the instinct of just trying to get someone.
Well, yeah, that's what it's all about.
You just want to get them.
There are stories to be told. Revoke Existence, we're probably going to have a little counter war over this that Sidher's going to win. Can't gainsay that.
That is not legal.
You can try again. You can give away that you have a
All right.
gainsay. There's a dissolve.
That is legal.
That will be dissolved. Sidher working with a little bit of extra information now.
Yep. Pretty good spot to stick your over dissolve when you know that your opponent can't gainsay back.
All right, so Sidher will be scrying. The scry on top, Revoke Existence takes care of the D-Sphere. Elspeth comes back in. Honestly, though, I think that Janasiewicz is okay with this exchange. Income tokens.
Well,
Sidher will eat one.
The biggest problem here is that you know, Jason has taken all these little shots over the course of the game from these Mutavaults and his Thoughtseize that now he might just kind of get punked out of the game by Elspeth tokens attacking each turn.
Yeah, this is where Jace plays such a huge role now, though. There's an Elixir. Pass the turn back. Does Sidher. Janasiewicz got on tap. He'll draw. It's an island. Sidher's last card in his hand is that Notion Thief with the mana to cast it. Obviously repping a counterspell or a bevy of other things right now.
And he is aware that Jason has a gainsay to protect a certain class of cards.
Yeah, he showed it on purpose.
Yeah, let him
That's
know.
what that was, yeah. He's getting in his head.
It's the same way as Meaty just using a Boros Charm when he's definitely just dead the following turn. You just gotta let him know who's boss.
Yeah, bang. You got this one, but...
Do you see that this is in my hand?
All right, you got the next one, too. All right. There's Jace. Jace's job, slow down those Elspeth tokens. That is ticking up. Oh, wow.
Ooh.
I am not right.
Jason just going beatdowns
Wow.
here.
Revelation,
Players Jason
Revoke Existence, and Dissolve.
Jason Clark, Travis Boise, can stage please.
I am very surprised that did not tick up.
Yeah, especially with Rookie down to one card in hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're playing around and just getting Detention Spirit or something, you know that you have Gainsay to cover it.
Yeah, I thought his line of play this turn was going to be play Jace, tick it up, play D-Sphere, take care of your Elspeth, have mana up for Gainsay.
I actually thought the plan was going to be play Jace plus attack your Elspeth with my token, say go.
Okay, sure. Don't you say the D-Sphere
Yeah,
for something
maybe
else?
you want this D here for something else.
Attention Magic players, this is the last call to sign up for
There's
today's
D-Sphere.
Legacy Open. Once again, last call to sign up for today's Legacy Open. If you have not signed up
All right,
yet,
there that
you
goes.
need to be at the stage
Okay, I actually
right
can
now.
see what's going on now from Jason's side of things. He gets to draw the cards this turn. If Ricky says, okay, I'm going to go after your life total right now and attack with all the tokens. He gets to block 1, follow 2, and then he can start plussing Jason the following turn. And if Ricky goes after the Jace, then at least Jason's gotten his cards.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're attacking. We'll figure out where the attackers are going.
Yeah, it appears to be 3 of them at Jason, 2 of them at Jason.
Yeah. So Jason's going to go down to 5. So different line with Jason than we thought we would see. Has to turn back. Jason on tap. He'll take a draw. It's a Temple of Silence. Thoughtseize is acceptable if Rev resolves.
Well, he also might use Thoughtseize to resolve the Revelation. He might use it next turn to push through. The risk here is, of course, he may not be able to actually set it up, because if Ricky just attacks with all the tokens, Jason will fall to 2, and now Thoughtseize is off the table.
Yeah. So, Janasiewicz will pass the turn back. Sidher's going to shuffle in those cards, move up to 24.
Jason trying to just barely keep his head above water here right now. But he's got a lot of high upside draws, especially if he's able to get this Revelations to resolve.
Time for a draw from Sidher, but I think we might have some upkeep effects. There's a Revelation. That's a Notion Thief. This is a gainsay.
Oh, no! He says no more. I mean, Jason's about to get knocked down to 2 from this attack on top of everything else.
That was a timely syncopate.
Yep. What a disaster.
Notion Thief in the house. So Sidher's the one that'll be drawing those cards. Thank you very much. Yeah, you might want to read that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one up in the sideboard. Now in come the tokens. It's time to block. Of course, Janasiewicz will still gain the life, but the cards are in Sidher's hand. Untap. Take a draw. What does Janasiewicz find out? A Revelation.
How humiliating.
Yes, that is. That is an embarrassment of riches.
Dude, sweet top deck.
Yeah.
Your best card.
Yeah. Notion Thief's a real jerk. Temple of Silence, top card going to the bottom. I thought Janasiewicz was going to stabilize and get out of this.
Yeah.
Oh, Notion. Oh, tough guy, Notion Thief.
Feeling frisky. Well, it does trade with the token.
Yeah.
And, you know, Ricky at this point has a lot of counter spells in hand, so I don't think he's worried about any random top deck that Jesse might have, even if it's Sphinx's Revelation.
And he's got a syncopate in his hand. Here's a Jace.
I believe he has Dissolve as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's fine.
Can I rev? No. Sync for 1. Patrick, I think we're moving to a third one, my
I believe
friend.
so, too.
And what has been a very entertaining 2-game match so far. There's 3 cards, there's a negate, there's your chop, negate's gonna go to the grip.
And what's really interesting about all this is a lot of this, the way this game got played out, was set up by Ricky just going beatdowns with Mutavault for a couple turns. Jason's life total was under duress, and it definitely affected his lines of play.
It forced his hand the entire time. Negate that. Moving on, game 3 we go between Ricky Sidher and Jason Janasiewicz.
That was a sweet Notion Thief.
Jason gonna roll the sleeves and says, I gotta get back in this. I don't want to lose to you.
Yep.
My good friend, my pal. That was a sweet Notion Thief. That's a healthy one up in the sideboard right there.
Yeah, it felt like pretty high upside there, you know.
Draws the syncopate right on time.
Right on time.
Whew. Going to game 3 between these two players. Don't know if either one's gonna re-sideboard, but a marathon affair here between two Sphinx's Revelation decks.
And I think that all that, you know, a lot of that got set up by the fact that Jason was just missing mana and black mana for so long. And there's just all these cascading consequences for being inefficient that early on in the game.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Mutavault attacking and clocking him, you know, basically what happened there is Janasiewicz starts actually playing the game, beginning the game, actually casting one of his spells around 12 or 10 life. And that kind of forces his hand because, you know, those Mutavault hits start to add up, and you've got Elspeth maybe weighs into the equation a little bit. And,
he had to discard a Thoughtseize to hand size.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That card is considered to be untouchable, but he just couldn't afford the loss of life of the second Thoughtseize.
There's some real things that happened there, so. We're going to play a third and final one here between Janasiewicz and Sidher. Again, Sidher, Los Angeles Legacy champion last time we were here. So he's looking to go back-to-back. Not Jerry T back-to-back in the same weekend due to the statute of limitations, as you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not back-to-back. You can't call it
Isn't
that.
it, though?
No, it's not.
Feels like it is. Kind of feels like it is.
It's a story, but it's definitely not back-to-back.
All right, fine.
Same weekend, man. It's got to be the same weekend. That's just the rule.
Okay, so what do we say if he wins this tournament and the Legacy Open today?
He went back-to-back.
And won the previous one. Is that back-to-back-to-back?
No, it's a separate tournament. Again, it's part of the storyline. It's something that matters. It's noteworthy. It is not back-to-back-to-back.
All right.
That means something different.
Fine. I don't like it, but fine. Either way, he's got one more game to win to go back-to-back.
Yeah. He has one more game and then one more tournament to win this weekend to go back-to-back. Then he will have gone back-to-back.
It's a really competitive game from Jason, where I think he was the one that missed some land drops there.
Oh, yeah, he was missing land drops and black mana, and, Ricky was pretty fortunate to have one of his mutavaults early in the game. In the post-board games, you can just start going to town with those.
For a while there, I thought Jason was actually going to win that game.
It looked like he was getting it turned around. It did.
Syncopate, pretty nice, though. Pretty nice card.
Notion Thief was nice, too.
All right, we're underway. Game 3 of the finals here in Los Angeles. It'll start with a Temple of Deceit for each player.
And it looks like Jason has a healthy number of lands and all of his colors as well. So
Thoughtseize, too. Firing off now. All right, so I got to ask. Turn 2 Thoughtseize in this matchup.
If he's actually trying to set something up, again, you referenced Night Veil Spectre, then I can get behind it. But normally I would like to save it until you're actually trying to push something through.
Okay.
Or at least wait until your 4th turn, maybe you're worried about him resolving Jace, let's say. So you do it then to get the most information and give him the most draw steps to find a Jace.
You see the hand here, 2 detentions for your Elspeth, 4 lands. One of those lands is a Temple Ever and Temple of Silence, so that'll help find a little bit more. There goes Elspeth. Hollow Fountain tapped, pass it back.
I feel like this is a spot where Jason actually could have been the one to try to go beat downs with Mutavault.
Yeah,
he has a Mutavault in hand.
It works so well for Sidher.
Yeah.
See his Ori's Guildgate. Passing the turn back. Janasiewicz is going to untap. He's going to take a draw. You see a Syncopate there in his hand, the Mutavault that Patrick did mention. He's got a D-Sphere and a Revelation. He's going to play Hollow Fountain tap. So he is not on the Mutavault plan at all, which we saw Sidher do to great effect in game 2.
There is some risk. Ricky showed that he has Azorius Charm left in his deck, so just firing up Mutavault and attacking the following turn does come with some risk if Ricky drew a card like Azorius Charm. But
Temple of Silence.
Both of these players have shown not a lot of answers in the post-board games to opposing Mutavaults early on in the game, and the damage does matter. It is not totally useless.
Another Tempest Sphere drawn here for Janasiewicz. He will finally play that Mutavault. And pass the turn back. Sidher will draw. It's a Jace. See if he wants to potentially Windmill Slam this down or not. I do not think it would resolve, and he's just going to play a Hollow Fountain tap and pass the turn back. Janasiewicz will draw. Temple of Deceit.
And all these Scrylands are just, they're always just such good draws, it feels like.
Yes. Scrylands are busted. Top card goes to the bottom. Sidher will take a draw here. It's an island. So, still going to be able to hit his land drops. He's going to play Hollow Fountain tapped.
But neither player looking to move just yet. Part of that is that most of the plays that people have at this stage are card advantage plays like Jace or Divination or what have you. And with neither player acting, it would just lead to someone discarding.
Yeah.
So no reason to expose yourself to any risk by just tapping mana on your main phase.
Janasiewicz going to play a Plains. Oh, he's Mutavaulting now.
Okay. So it begins.
A little late, but it does begin. Sidher will take a draw. It's a dissolve. There's the island that he drew last turn.
Good morning, Magic players.
Looks like we've got some mana that's going to be tapped for a Divination. Yes.
You will find it on the bearings boards near the entrance.
Are we going to fight over this? No, I don't think. I can't imagine that we do.
I would be surprised.
Two cards come to the grip. It's 2 lands there for Sidher. Untap for Janasiewicz. He'll take a draw. It's a Thoughtseize. Again, he has 4 of those after sideboard. He's going to lead with one right now. Will Sidher dissolve here?
I am a fan of casting Dissolve here. I feel like with Sidher being at 7 cards in hand, being close to having to discard, getting to scry for 1 is also pretty big upside.
Will we have a fight back? Janasiewicz does have a Syncopate in his hand. It looks like we are going to fight back.
I like fighting here.
Yep. I want to see what you got. Let me see that hand. D-Spheres, which we knew about, Jace, and just a couple of lands, one of which is a Temple of Enlightenment, so at least a scry land there, but...
Yeah, I imagine we're just going to be taking Jace here and stranding Ricky with his Detention Spheres that aren't really that well suited to anything that Jason's up to right now.
Yeah. If I could, I would just take the Temple of Enlightenment.
Yeah, I would take the scry land.
Yeah, I've had enough. I've had just about enough of that. I can counter the Jace, thank you. Yep, there goes Jace, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, so Ricky now just stranded with basically nothing.
Yeah, except for the best card of all time in Temple of Enlightenment.
It's pretty high on the list.
It's very good. Sidher draws, it's Elixir of Immortality. If he casts that, I think it gets countered so fast.
Yeah, this is shaping up to be a game that's going to go on for a very long time.
Yeah.
Game 2 didn't necessarily have that sort of texture to it, so it's not surprising that, you know, the Elixir was not a key part of the game.
Negate the draw here for Janasiewicz. I can't imagine him to cast a spell. I don't even think he'd attack with Beautiful because he's got a Revelation that he wants to resolve for 3. Aetherling the draw here for Sidher. Are we going to try to resolve a little Elixir? It's a little telling there, too. Because he's going to tap the 1 mana. I think, yeah, this has got to get countered. Yep. Let the fight begin.
Yeah.
Except for Sidher doesn't really have any room to fight, so there that goes.
I like using a counter here. It really cuts off one of Ricky's primary game plans.
Yeah. Sidher just going to pass the turn back. Not going to try to resolve an Aetherling here. Janasiewicz going to draw. It's an island. That's a big draw because he can just play a land and pass the turn back and still threaten Revelation.
Yeah. Probably actually the best draw right now.
Yeah.
Just an untapped land.
Sidher will draw a card. It's a Revoke Existence. Not going to play a huge role right now. See if Janasiewicz is going to go for the Revelation here. Sidher's going to play an untapped land. He'll take 2 to do so. Janasiewicz will not cast. Oh boy. Oh boy.
These Thoughtseizes are so brutal.
I would like an Aetherling, please.
Oh, look, it's a hand of your best card and a bunch of nonsense, and now I know my Revelations is good.
If I'm Janasiewicz, I think I just want to rev in my main phase right now.
Yeah, as long as he has insurance for Elspeth or Jace, whatever Ricky's best top decks are, it's pretty safe.
So I want to make sure I hit my land drop. I don't want to get like blown out by like Notion Thief for no reason again too.
Yeah. Especially now that, you know, you can be fairly safe. There's not really anything too dangerous Ricky can do. You know that you don't have to worry about Elixir. You know that you don't have to worry about Aetherling.
2, 3. So he does rev right now. He's going to play Temple of Silence's land, Pithing Needle, and Dissolve for the other cards that were drawn. Scry's going to go to the bottom. Janasiewicz going to pass the turn back. Sidher has double tension for Revoke Existence. He's going to add to that. Obviously nothing of consequence. He's just going to pass the turn back. Janasiewicz will draw. It's Jace. The player on your right is in the driver's seat right now.
Yeah. And it's just, to me, it's just the difference of Thoughtseize versus not having it.
Agreed.
That's what you're seeing right now.
Going to lay out some mana here for Jace. There is the Architect of Thought.
And knowing about all these attention spheres, you're going to see Jason just minus it right away.
Yeah, Dissolve versus lands. I think Jason might want lands in this situation. Yeah.
Yep.
Gonna put Dissolve to the bottom. Gonna play that island. You see his hand, he's got a couple Dissolves, a couple Detention Spheres, Pithing Needle, another land. Might fire up the old Mutavault. Uh-oh, here we go. In for 2.
Yeah, he knows Ricky's hand is really soft right now. He still gets to hold up Dissolve to protect as an insurance policy against anything Ricky wants to do.
So Sidher has the Notion Thief again. Here's D-Sphere. If there's a card that can get him back into this game, that's one of them.
Yeah. I mean, again, deck lists are public, and Jason got hit by it last game.
Yeah.
So, but if Jason does get sloppy, it's a way for Ricky to get this turned around.
It sure is. So Sphere's going to resolve. Most likely will resolve. I'd be a little surprised if we see a dissolve on this.
Right.
Especially when you know the opponent has another D-Sphere.
Correct, exactly. Even if it was close before, feels...
All right. So what this is going to allow him to do is, one, this is going to allow him to scry, and 2, it forces the other D-Sphere.
Yeah.
Yep. That's fine. If Jason's happy with that exchange, then this is fine. Because this isn't coming as a surprise.
Right, and it's certainly opening up the door for something like another Jace or Elspeth to be drawn and resolve.
Yeah, it's one less answer. That's one less answer to an Elspeth. See Revelation drawn here for Janasiewicz. Careful, careful.
Jason has shown a lot of discipline in not revving for the maximum amount in multiple spots, so I would be surprised if he just walked directly to this Notion Thief.
Especially when he has to dissolve.
Yeah, exactly. The dissolve makes it
He will be taking care of you guys today.
really safe.
Super important thing up here.
Oh, God. Okay. Oh, God.
He knows that one card is Revoke Existence.
Yeah, but he doesn't know the other card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the way that he tapped his last was a little bit scary. That's all. There's the dissolve. Okay. Dissolve's going to put the top card to the bottom. The Revelation's going to be for 4.
And that will get you all set for the round.
1, Negate. 2, Temple. 3, Aetherling. 4, Elspeth.
Your other side. You will see
Sidher going to draw a card here. Right now, you guys can hear in the background, our Legacy Tournament player meeting is underway here. We'll get a player count for you guys in a little bit, announcing our altruists and everybody else here that is in attendance.
And then over here on the opposite
Another
side,
Revelation for Jason off the top, which he now knows is safe because Notion Thief is not an issue.
Yeah, thank goodness.
you want to buy and or sell your cards.
So Jason also drew an Aetherling off that Revelation.
One more quick announcement, and it's
Green light's on. He's going to go for it.
loves and hates.
And since he has Negate, he's got the necessary backup, and then he's got plenty of blue mana. Here's Aetherling.
Any kind of
That's a
grain,
dissolve.
food, anything, there's
This
one place and one
is a
place
negate.
only that it belongs, and that is
Sidher's
on the
last card is
floor.
Revoke Resistance. That's no good. Aetherling with appropriate defense is up. Temple of Lightman will allow Scry. That card's going to stay on top, it looks like.
Kings of Mephistopheles
Pass
become
the turn. Temple,
damaged.
top to the bottom. And Jason gets to untap with all that mana. Patrick, we are working our way towards a champion.
And he's drawn Gainsay that's shutting off Sphinx's Revelation as any sort of out for Ricky.
Yep. And that's it. Jason Janasiewicz defeats Ricky Sidher 2-1 as your Star City Games Standard Open champion.
Thoughtseize in the control mirror, more Scry lands in the control mirror.
Hold on a
That's the-
minute. Thoughtseize and Mutavault in the same. Geez, that is good.
As